the casting for the show was announced on Friday. As you well know, I auditioned for Lady Bracknell, a part that I would be perfect for. It was as though Oscar Wilde had written it specifically for me. I couldn't have given any more in my audition. I landed my handbag line with perfect timing, and Klaus Yuri Neville Toby Smith OBE subtly raised the corner of his mouth as if to say, "I see what you did there." He's a subtle man, wildly passionate about his art, but he gives little away. But I'd made an impression, I could tell. It's a connection we share. Then it was on to the song and dance. I had been practicing Paradise by the Dashboard Lights all week. I was going to pick it up at the "stop right there, you better know right now" part, but apparently the one verse and chorus we had to do wasn't for our choosing. It was the first verse and the first chorus. I was completely unprepared. Not only was I not up on the lyrics, but that part was sang by Meatloaf himself. I'm a soprano! As if I would be able to get as low as that. The very idea is preposterous. Pat? Oh, she's the Pork Farm Fingers woman who plonks the piano keys, who I couldn't tell you the name of before. Well, her head was bobbing about like one of those Churchill dogs that folk used to put on their parcel shelves in the late 90s. Before the world became dominated by meerkats, that is. Well, she said, "Well, Celine could do it." And I said yes. Celine might be able to pull off Meatloaf, but she chain smokes 80 cigarettes a day, has a Jaeger bomb chaser with her black coffee at breakfast, has spent a lifetime shouting and hollering in public since that... Oh, no, don't get yourself so excited. I don't mean that Celine. More's the pity. She means the Celine who runs the karaoke at the Harkin in Kingston. There's no glamour in that Celine. Oh, she always wears earthy colours, steel toe-cap boots, a peaked hat. I'm never quite sure if she's joining the Village People as a plumber or if she's holding out for a revival of Fiddler on the Roof. She can do a good Barry White. I heard her singing once. It was that, "My first, my last, my everything." I thought it was the actual track playing. Yes, she sings right down deep into those steel toe-cap boots, and make no mistake. But that's not my range, so it didn't bode well in my audition. If that wasn't bad enough, I haven't even told you about the pairing for my number, for the interpretive dance duet. Barry, before our arrival, had written our names on pieces of paper, folded them and placed them in the bucket. Then, in turn, we each took a piece of paper until everyone was paired. Now, I've had bad experiences in such types of selection before, so I know all too well that going last is not a winning strategy. Eileen, being the only one of us who's appeared on television, selected first and was partnered with Giles. As I understand it, they once had a dalliance. The specific details I'm not clued up on yet. I then insisted I take my turn. I placed my hand in the bucket, giving the folded pieces of destiny a whisk with my long, slender fingers and immaculately French manicured nails, and selected a piece. I drew it from the bucket. I gingerly opened the thrice-folded piece of paper. I saw a glimmer of the name written on it. Everyone leaned in with intrigue, and I asked Barry if I could select another. He said no. I looked to Klaus Yuri Neville Toby Smith with an OBE, and I asked Klaus, Yori Neville, Toby Smith with an OBE if I could select another. He said no. I looked over to Pat. She was scoffing a vanilla slice and oblivious to my need. Gormless Gale, with enough kids to repopulate a small country, asked, "Well, who is that?" "You," I said. "Gale, it's you." I don't believe either one of us were happy. Although it's hard to tell with her, as she has one of those expressions that's so weathered in, you can't tell if her mood has changed or just the lighting in the room. We had about 10 minutes to discuss our audition before performing, which parts we were going to sing, and roughly the dance routine. Gale was about as vital to that discussion as a slug at a séance. I had to carry the entire thing. Now, don't get me wrong, Gormless Gale can carry a tune, but as I said to her, it would be more helpful to carry the tune for the song we're actually singing. She was also impressively flexible when it came to dancing, and I imagine that comes with popping out enough children to form the Von Trapps and put on a very low-end budget production of The Sound of Music and still have a couple of spare kiddies for understudies. Her issue, however, is her timing. If I'm not mistaken, she has different music playing in her head to what the rest of us can hear. This put an enormous pressure on me. As she was stronger on the dance front, I did the heavy lifting on the vocals. I know I proved a delight. When I attacked the chorus whilst Gale was doing the worm across the front of the performing space, I saw Pat's face contort. It was as though her facial features curled to the end of her nose. A strong reaction. A good sign, I thought. I got my feedback when casting was announced. I excelled in boldness. However, apparently, Pat doesn't feel that I would manage some of the numbers in the show. The jumped-up backstabbing bit. Oh, no! I am not going to stoop there. It would be unprofessional of me as a lesbian. All I will say on the matter is she does have a look of the meatloaf about her. Oh, Pat out of hell. I'm going to have to watch myself around her. I wouldn't mind, but she's only a rehearsal pianist. She isn't going to be plonking for the performances. She'll no doubt be carrying out important aid work and keeping the doors of Mr. Butcher's Bakers open, one cream cake at a time. So no, I didn't get the part. I have not been cast as Lady Bracknell. Chip Shop Sue got it. It would seem that artistic director Klaus Yori Neville Toby Smith OBE likes his Lady Bracknell battered, with a side of mushy peas and hair that could grease a politician's palm. I mean, honestly. She isn't the right class to play such a role. Not only is this an insult to me that I don't get this part, but it's an insult to the class system that has made our society the success that it is today. So, instead of a handbag, it'll be salt and vinegar, or a Savoy. Ha! Savoy Sue. She has the personality of a pickled onion and the intelligence of scrappy batter bits. I'm going to speak to Klaus Yori Neville Toby Smith OBE at the next rehearsal. Make no mistake, I can't be in the ensemble. I'm no good in crowds. That's why I've spent my life standing out from them. He strikes me as a reasonable man. I just need to make him see reason. And I will. You see. I want to be Lady Bracknell. I will be Lady Bracknell.